Hello, this is Steve at SteveHuffPhoto.com, and I am here today with the Nikon D3s, Nikon's full-frame 12 megapixel low-light monster. This thing is a monster. It weighs about 80 pounds. No, I'm just kidding. It's your typical Nikon Pro body, just like the D3X, the D3, the D2X. It's heavy, it's solid, it's built for pro use. It's weatherproof. And just like all Nikon bodies, has all the controls right on the body, so you don't have to dig through menus to get to them. I'm going to go over these controls that I like, as well as show you a couple of features of the D3s. And if you want to see the written review with all the photo samples in high resolution, you can go to my website at SteveHuffPhoto.com and see the D3s review. One thing I like about the Nikon Pro bodies is the ability to change the settings with dials and knobs instead of having to dig through menus. For example, here is the dial where you change your shooting mode from single shot to continuous low to continuous high. Say you're an action shooter and you want really high speed shooting. I believe the D3s, when you're shooting in full frame with a full frame lens, can do 9 frames per second. So let's give it a try. It's like a machine gun firing. So that wasn't continuous high. Another feature on the D3s is the Q mode, which stands for quiet. It's kind of like a discrete function, kind of like on the Leica M9, where you hold down the shutter, it'll release and take the image, and then until you let up off your finger, I'll just show you, it's easier. I'm going to take the image. You heard the shutter click, but just the first part of the click. As long as you hold your finger down on the shutter release, it will stay like this, and when you let up, you hear the shutter recocking. So that's kind of a cool mode for the Nikons if you want to be a little more stealthy. It's a little more quiet than the single mode. Yeah, that's pretty loud actually. Sounds like the quiet mode also gets rid of the beep, focus confirmation. There we go. So that's kind of a cool mode to have on the Nikon bodies. I also like that you can change the metering with a knob, just like on all the Nikon Pro bodies, just by turning the dial from spot to matrix to center weighted. It's all right there. And just as usual, you got all your buttons here, your ISO, your quality, your white balance. Everything's accessible without having to go through a menu. So I really like that on the Nikon bodies. And did I say this thing is heavy? When people say that their camera feels like a brick in the hand, this one literally feels like a brick in your hands. It's pretty impressive, and it's fully weather sealed for pro use, and I could imagine that this would take a lot of abuse if you're a pro. I wouldn't say this is a hobbyist camera because it's pretty much too big. I wouldn't want to take this camera with me everywhere on a daily basis like I do my Leica or even the Olympus EP2, which is what I'm using to film this video with. So the Nikon D3s is basically a technological marvel from Nikon. You can shoot this thing at ISO 102,800. The focus, even with this cheap $129 lens, which is the 50-1.8, it will focus pretty much in the dark. I did some crazy focus tests with a little bit of light coming into a bedroom at night, and it locked focus and got the shot. Now at ISO 100 and whatever thousand, it's going to be grainy, it's going to look like a mess. I wouldn't recommend using that. But I have shot this up to ISO 16,000 with terrific, I wouldn't want to say superior, results. And I wouldn't hesitate to use ISO 16,000 in a pinch. So be sure to go to my site at SteveHuffPhoto.com to see the full written review of the Nikon D3s. It's really a great camera if you don't mind the size and the weight and the bulk. And remember, I'm using it here with a small lens, probably one of the smallest in Nikon's lineup. But for pro use, if I was a pro shooting action or sports, I'd buy 2 or 3 of these. Even for wedding use, with the low light abilities, it would be incredible for shooting receptions without any flash whatsoever. Put a fast lens on it. I could imagine this with an 85-1.4 being spectacular. So go over and read the review at my website. and I hope to see you there. Thanks for watching.